Yo, what's up guys? It is Lozler here, and today I'm going to be bringing you some 30-0 custom tactics. Now these custom tactics have got me 115 wins to 5 losses in the month of February. That includes one disconnect and got me 42nd in the world. We've recently hit a 30-0 as well, and I'll show you some highlights after these custom tactics. Now these custom tactics will apply to any sort of team, and I've tried them out with my RTG and got similar results. So we're going to go into depth on every single game plan that I use, and if these help you, then please leave a like, subscribe, and any questions that you have, I will answer them in the comments. But yeah, let's get into it. So, the first things first, we start off in a balanced formation. And this balanced formation is simply for chemistry purposes and to defend the kickoff. It takes about 5 to 10 seconds for your team to get into shape. So I would recommend, for example, not to do what you've got on the screen here. So I've got, for example, Pele here as centre back. And he plays on the right wing. Hullet that comes back into midfield, and Vieira that comes back into defence. So I would recommend keeping your shape as much as you possibly can. In my case, I can't really do that, but yeah, if I go ahead and show you what I actually set myself up with on the balanced. So yeah, the purpose for this is literally to defend the kickoff. So we want to become really solid and compact at the back. So I've gone with balanced, 4 width, so they can't really attack through the middle, 3 depth. Yeah, this is quite low, but again, we just want to defend the kickoff until the ball goes out or your team takes shape. 5 width on the offensive style. This doesn't matter too much. 4 and 5, 4 and 5 will work just fine, to be fair. 3 players in the box. I'm not really fussed about attacking when defending a kickoff. Corners and free kicks, 1, because I don't want to get countered like after I lose the ball in the first couple of seconds. So let's go into the instructions. And basically all these do is we're just going to come back on defence and stay back whilst attacking on everybody. So you just want your whole team behind the ball to defend the kickoff. And if you play against a really, really good player, they are going to hold the ball for kickoff until they get into your box. So it's really important that you set everybody to come back on defence or stay back when it's a kickoff. So yeah, in terms of actual game plans now, you want to start with basically the 5-3-2 or 4-4-2. I've recently been using the 5-3-2, and I actually start off with this formation. And what I run on this is balanced and balanced, 5 and 5 for width and depth. It's a really good formation for pressing. So you basically want, you could try 6, but I'm happy with 5. I probably wouldn't play this formation with 4 depth and below, because you've got so many players everywhere. You sort of want 5 depth and above. And then yeah, keeping it standard with the offensive style here, balanced and 5 width. 6 players in the box, because we've got 5 at the back. We want a lot of attacking options. It's quite unlikely that you're going to get hit on the counter and you won't be able to defend because you always have an extra defender. 3 on the corners. This is personal preference. Honestly, I think 1 works the best. If you've got like a target man like CR7 or someone that can head the ball really well, I find that 1 is actually perfect. But I've been experimenting with this. I find with 3, it's good. It's quite crowded. But yeah, if you play your corners short, this doesn't really apply anyway. Free kicks on 1. This doesn't really make a difference. You just don't want to get countered, basically. So in terms of how I set the 5-3-2 up, and you might not have all the players for this, and so the 4-4-2 may be more suited to you. But with the 5-3-2, you want your fullbacks here to join the attack. So this creates a sort of overload in the attack, which makes it which makes it to defend really, really hard. They're going to be so wide, and they're going to open up the space in the middle, so you can cut back and find one of your strikers or your centre mids. But yeah, the purpose of these, well, not the purpose, but the types of players that you want is really rapid players here. You want them to get up and down the pitch. You want them to have high stamina, and you want them to be good on the ball and good at attacking. So I've gone with Davies and Pele here. So they don't necessarily need to be the best defender. As long as they've got good attacking ability and can track back, that's perfectly fine. I've also gone with the run type overlap because we want them to be as wide as possible. We don't want them to cut in. As you can see, it's quite congested there. You've got basically 6 attackers. Yeah, my maths isn't that great. 5 attackers here in the middle of the middle of the park. So yeah, you want to keep these guys as wide as possible, basically. Your 5th defender needs to be the best defender you have on the ball. So I've got Carlos Alberto here. He can turn well. He's not like a Varane, for example, where you can't recover if you make a mistake. And then here in the centre mid position, this person needs to act like your cam. So a 5-star skiller is probably the best bet. Ideally, they'd have good stamina and good on the ball, etc. But as you can see here, they're going to get forward and cover the centre. On my 2 centre mids here, which is Hullet and Fernandez, they are going to be stay back whilst attacking, cover centre. Now, just because you put stay back on them, if they've got a high work rate, a high attacking work rate, they will get forward when the opportunity is there. So, it is a pretty crazy attack if you've got these guys as high work rates. But yeah, a defensive work rate, a high defensive work rate, I'd probably put on the right hand side here, and then put your sort of, your better person on the ball, better attacker on the left side here. In terms of the strikers, you don't need to touch them at all. Honestly, they'll make the right runs, and by leaving them unbalanced, they'll just do basically what's best for the scenario. So yeah, I would switch to this at minute 1. If you're not the best at defending, this is a perfect formation, and it also helps with breaking people down. But if you're quite good at defending, I'll show you a game plan that I start a lot of games in as well, and it's the 4-4-2 flat variation. It is not the defensive formation where you've got 2 CDMs. You actually have 2 centre mids. And what I'd recommend, if you are struggling in defence, do try out the 4-4-2 second variation. As you can see, you've got 2 CDMs there. I would try it out, but I would say if you want to get better at the game, then I would try to play with this flat version, because it forces you to defend with all of your players, basically, not just run back with your CDMs. And the tactics that I've gone for here is 4 width. And the reason why I've gone with 4 width is because your left mid and right mid are really wide. And as you'll see from the instructions, they're going to come back on defence, and they're going to fill out, the gaps that you're going to have on the wings. I've gone with 5 depth. Now, a lot of people don't realise about 5 depth. Basically, when you set your depth to 5 and higher, your team will automatically press. And basically, with a 4-4-2 flat, it's really good at man marking everybody. So you can win the ball high up a lot of the time, basically. So I would go honestly with 5 depth or 6 depth with a 4-4-2 flat. But yeah, balanced and balanced again. I wouldn't recommend any of the any of the other tactics, basically, because they're just going to drain your stamina. And honestly, to get better at the game, you want to play in balance. You want to have full control of your team. But yeah, we're going to go with 5 width on the offensive style, not too narrow, not too wide. 5 players in the box. I find this works just perfectly fine. I wouldn't go to 6 on this formation. You probably get counter attacked. 5 is just fine. 2 and 2. You can go to 1 and 1. It honestly, it's personal preference really, but you know, if you're struggling to defend counter attacks, go for 1 and 1. Otherwise, you know, 2 and 2, 2 and 1 is perfectly okay. So how I've set this one up is the strikers here. I've got both on getting behind. Um, I just find the getting behind tactic works really well with a 4-4-2. You know, as soon as you receive the ball with, say, Pele or Neymar or Hullet, your strikers are off on a run. You can play one of those huge glitchy through balls that I'll probably do a tutorial on. Um, but yeah, so these two, balance support runs and get in behind. On the left and right wingers, we're going to come back on defence, and this is more of a like an offensive move, to be honest. Like you want your team, you know, close together, and if they're so far up the pitch, you probably won't be able to find them. And also with a 4-4-2 flat, you need the defensive cover on the wings, especially. So yeah, come back on defence on these guys, and get in the box for cross. So what that means is, for example, if Neymar's got the ball here on the wing, Pele will get in the box for cross. So he will cut inside and make himself available as like say like a third striker or a cam. Um, we've got I've actually got these the wrong way round here, but basically you want your more defensive midfielder to stay back whilst attacking and cover the centre. So in this case here, as you're looking on the screen, it's Fernandez. And then the better person going forward, you just want to leave them unbalanced and cover centre. But once again, these two have higher work rates, so they're going to go forward anyway. Um, in terms of the right back and left back, it's just going to be stay back whilst attacking, and you don't want you don't want the run type of overlap, because this formation is quite wide. If you trigger these guys to go forward, you want them to basically cut inside. Also, what I'd recommend, on your keeper, if he doesn't have the comes for crosses trait, definitely put it on, because honestly, it will save you a lot of weird goals where your keeper should have came for it and he just stands there. If you got Nick Pope, I would highly recommend putting this on, because he just seems to sort of just stand there and just, you know, let them score basically. So yeah, in terms of these two tactics, it's personal preference what you want to start in. They offer two different ways to break your opponent down, so just try what works best for you. And what I basically do is, if I'm struggling to break an opponent down, and it's an even contest, like it's a 0-0, 1-1, I will just switch to another tactic, to give them something to think about. And I'd probably do that about 60 minutes. If it's still deadlocked at about 60 minutes, I will switch it up a little bit. Um, if you're losing the game, um, by say like one goal, and it's about the 60th to 70th minute, I'd pick one of these two tactics, and what I would do is I would go 6 depth, and I would use a pressure tactic. So in this case, I'd probably go pressure on heavy touch or press on possession loss. Um, Pressure on heavy touch, it's good, but if your opponent is really ratty and keeping the ball, it's not going to help you out too much. It's just for those cases where they make a bad pass, they've got their back to the goal, and you want to, send your team on them. If they're being a bit of a rat, I'd recommend using press on possession loss. But yeah, 6 depth, and use a pressure tactic to get back in the game if you're one goal down. So if you want to see out a game, let's say you're 1-0 up, you're 2-0 up, there's 10 minutes to go, I would highly recommend to switch to 4-2-3-1. The reason for this is basically with the 4-2-3-1, you've got triangles all over the pitch. So if I just show you that, if I just show you that that picture there, you should be able to see. There's so many triangles. Your right back, your centre mid, your right mid, your striker, your cam, your right mid is an amazing formation to hold possession and just break the press really, because you're probably going to get constant pressured, etc. And it's a really solid formation in defence. So the tactics I've gone here to hold the lead is basically balanced and balanced. You don't want to use drop back because a good player will just get into your box and just skill you up. So yeah, definitely don't use drop back. It invites way too much pressure. I've gone with 4 width to be really compact in the middle, 3 depth, so my team sits just behind the edge of the box there. The plan is to basically bring every man behind the ball. Offensive style doesn't matter too much. If you're seeing the lead, I'd probably put this down to 4. 5 is fine, but yeah, anywhere between 3 and 5 is good to hold the lead, I'd say. If you do struggle against the press, and the 4-2-3-1 isn't working too good for you, I'd recommend going to the second variation of the 4-2-3-1. And what that offers you is a lot more width. So you can just spam the balls out wide. You could use the D-pad tactics if you're aware of those to do hug the sidelines. I will do some additional tutorials on that, but if you're not that comfortable with the D-pad tactics, I would just use this formation and basically use the tactics that I'm going to show you for the 4-2-3-1. And basically how I like to play this is I have my striker on stay forward getting behind. So I'm always going to have a really long ball up to the striker. It's always going to be on, basically. We're going to soak up the pressure and basically just do a massive ball to the striker. We're going to have 3 cams here on comeback on defence. So we want them behind the ball. If you want to play it safe, get rid of get into the box for cross. I use that because I'm quite comfortable with this formation. I've played this formation for 4 years or so. So yeah, I'm quite comfortable with how it works. But if you really want to, be solid and don't want your players to be out of position too much, just take that off basically. And then on your 2 centre mids here, I would recommend that you put both of them on stay back whilst attacking cover centre. On your right and your left, I've got that the wrong way around there. Your right back and your left back, you just want them to stay back whilst attacking. I've got run type overlap, but it's kind of irrelevant here. You don't really need to put that on. And yeah, once again, if your keeper doesn't have comes for crosses, just put that on. Now, the last game plan I'm going to go through is basically the one where you really need to get back into the game. It's like the 70th minute, you're 2-0 down, your opponent's, keeping the ball. Yeah, I would basically go to these tactics here. So there's 2 formations that work extremely well for this. And this formation, once again, is the 5-3-2. What's different about the normal version is that we're going constant pressure, 10 depth. A lot of people don't know this as well, but with 10 depth, your team does an automatic offside trap. So you're very likely to win the ball high up the pitch if you use 10 depth. You want balance for the defensive style. I would not recommend fast build up or long ball on this formation. The reason is because you want to be in full control of how you attack. You don't want all your players everywhere, and you can't find the pass. You're pretty likely to lose the ball if you use one of those. With this particular formation, anyway. Yeah, we've gone 5 width, 6 players in the box. If you're not that comfortable with triggering runs with the L1 button, etc., you can up this to say, I'd say maximum of 8. But I find that 6 works just fine. But yeah, in terms of the instructions, how this is different is we've basically got, join the attack again on the fullbacks, run type overlap. We're still staying back with our fifth man, but the difference here is that basically your most defensive minded uh, midfielder will go into the middle here and they will be stay back whilst attacking. But then your two centre mids are going to be on get forward, cover centre. In terms of your strikers, they're going to be on stay forward this time and get in behind. So basically, when you win the ball, everybody is going to be available, and you're going to, yeah, I definitely think you're going to get back into the game using these tactics. I've turned around like 4-0 games using these tactics in FUT Champs. So I definitely recommend them. But there is another one that actually works extremely well for this. And it's the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow variation. It's quite similar in nature to the 5-3-2, but it's honestly it's crap. There's so many players like in the center of the pitch. So if your opponent is struggling against you in the center of the pitch, I would probably recommend to switch to this formation. Now, in terms of the tactics, it's going to be constant pressure, same width, same depth, but you're going to change this to fast build up. Try this out, and honestly, you're going to see some crazy comebacks doing this. Um, and yeah, you can keep the width, keep the players in the box the same. Now, I haven't actually got this one set up, but if we quickly do this, it's just basically going to be stay forward on these two. Getting behind on both of them. Your cam is going to be also stay forward, and then basically what I tend to do is have one of these to stay back while attacking, and then if I can actually switch to him, your left mid is going to get forward. And what's important is these two centre mids here, they're going to cover the wing because your fullbacks are going to push so high up the pitch. You need your centre mids to basically fill in the gaps. And then for this fifth man here, he's just going to stay back whilst attacking, and he's going to cover the centre. And the fullbacks, yeah, they're going to be on join the attack and run type overlap. So yeah, I think that's actually all of the tactics that I wanted to show you. We definitely need to make another video on D-pad tactics because I tend to utilize them a lot. They're really effective. You can look them up as well, but basically the ones that I tend to use a lot when defending, and it's like say 5 minutes left. Up and right on the D-pad is overload the ball side. It basically makes your team really compact, but drains your stamina. So use that with caution. I use the offside trap a lot. Essentially, when the opponent has their back to goal, and my players are drifting into their own box, you need to get them out of the box and keep your shape basically. And that's just down and down on the D-pad. Team press. I'm sure everyone knows what team press is. It's down and left on the D-pad, and you want to use that basically when your opponent's got in their own half, got their back to your goal. You want to put a lot of pressure on them. What else do I use? I use down and up on the D-pad, which is striker drop back, and you probably only want to use that when you're trying to really defend the lead. So in this 4-2-3-1, for example. Yeah, and there's another few like attacking fullbacks. I think that's up and left on the D-pad. But yeah, there's attacking fullbacks. yeah, there's a bunch of others. I'll do an in-depth video on it, but I think that's it for the tactics. Let me know in the comments if these help you out in this weekend league. But yeah, I'm going to show you some 30-0 gameplay now. Yeah, managed to get some highlights of these. You can see how I sort of attack and the sort of patterns of play that I do in the 4-4-2 and the 5-3-2. I think what's next is I'll probably make a complete defending tutorial because we're just going to show you some sick goals that I score at the end of this video. But we'll go into depth on like defending because that is a key thing as well. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the custom tactics, and yeah, let's get into the gameplay.